right, so this is straight fire number 11, some more trigonometry coming at you, and it begins with filling out a chart using your calculator. So all you'll need to do is type in the sine of 0. It should tell you it's 0. Type in the sine of 90, and it should tell you it's 1. Pause the video. If you haven't finished the chart yet, pause the video and unpause it, and my chart will be filled out for you. Alright, so how about that? You probably got a little taste of deja vu. Deja vu is an expression that means that you feel like you've actually done something already once before, and it's kind of a funny feeling that you can get. And that's what happens here in this question. If you noticed, the 0 showed up twice, the point 17 showed up twice, the point 5 showed up twice. Well, this showed up the same on that side, and also the 1s showed up twice, and the point 98 showed up the same time twice, and the point 866 showed up twice. So what's happening there? So for question number 2, it says, use your knowledge of trigonometry in the chart above to assist you in answering the following question. How does knowing the sine of an angle help you find the cosine of a different angle? Because sometimes they're the same. Well, think about it some more, or if you've thought about it enough, unpause the video and see what my answer is. See if it matches yours. So if you've given it enough thought, and you look at the example above, it says use the table above. Well, the sine of 10 is exactly the same as the cosine of which other angle? The cosine of 80. So if you know the sine of an angle, then you'd know that it would be the same thing as the cosine of a different angle. But what angle would it be? Well, the sine of 10 is the same as the cosine of 80. The sine of 30 is the same thing as the cosine of 60. And the sine of 0 degrees is the same thing as the cosine of 90. So it looks like when those angles make 90 degrees, the sine is always equal to the cosine. So if you know the sine of x, then you also know the cosine of 90 take away that x. Alright, so let's see what this thing's all about. It says without using a calculator to determine the value of x in each equation. Alright, so if we play that game again, angle x would have to be the complement of 33, which would be 57 degrees. And you can check that on the calculator. The sine of 33 is about 0.54, and the cosine of 57 is also 0.54. So x would have to be 57. Okay, let's look at B. What do we know about these two angles? If the sine is equal to the cosine. Well, if the sine is equal to the cosine, the two angles together will always make 90 degrees. So in this picture here, if the sine is equal to the cosine, that means that the angles will always make together 90 degrees. And if you solve this equation, you find out that x is equal to 30, and 2x would be equal to 60. And that's actually showing up on our chart as well. The cosine of 60 is the same as the sine of 30. All right, one more. We know that the sine is equal to the cosine. You know, the reason that works out, by the way, so why does the sine equal the cosine? Well, here's a quick explanation, as fast as I can probably say it without going too fast. So if we have this picture right here, isn't it true that A and B make 90 degrees? Yep, because angle C has to be 90 and all of them have to add up to 180. If you figured out the sine of angle A, the sine of angle A, let me put some numbers here. We'll just do 5, 12, and 13. Yeah, so why does this work this way? Well, what's the sine of angle A? Well, the sine of angle A would be opposite over hypotenuse, which is 12 over 13. What is the cosine of angle B? The cosine of angle B is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Well, the adjacent side for angle B happens to be the 12, and the hypotenuse is still 13. When you switch angles from A to B, the hypotenuse stays the same, but the opposite side and the adjacent side change places. And that's why, if you've got two angles that add up to 90 degrees, the sine of one will always be the cosine of the other. All right, so finishing off this question right here, we know the sine is equal to the cosine, so that must mean that the angles together would make 90 degrees. So it's just a matter of solving this equation here. And the nice thing about this one is you can actually check the answer at the end. Combining like terms gives you 4x plus 10 equals 90. Subtracting 10 from both sides and dividing by 4 gives you 4x equals 80. So x equals 20. And you can check to make sure that this answer makes sense. If x is 20, this angle here is 15 degrees. If x equals 20, then this is 60 plus 15, which is 75. And just as we mentioned before, these two angles should make 90 degrees, and when they do, the sine is equal to the cosine. And you could type it in if you wanted to even check it even further. The sine of 15 is 0.2588, and the cosine of 75 degrees is also 0.2588. So that wraps up our trigonometry straight fires. This one is just meant to make sure that you're aware that there's this cool fact that connects sine and cosine together. All right, keep on working really hard and push to be the best.